Hello, hello. Today is day 3 of the 30 Shades of Over 50. We are showcasing amazing women who are over 50. Yes! I'm having so much fun with this. It's just amazing to showcase women who are over 50. And you know the thing about women over 50? We come in all shades. And when I say, hi, Michelle, and when I say all shades, I mean we're also unique. We're also different. And so you can't really say one size fits all. We're not all the same. We're also different. So that's why I'm showcasing all these different women from all walks of life. I mean, it's just exciting. So I have a special guest. She's going to be coming on soon, and we're going to have, a conversation. That's all. We're going to talk about what it means to be over 50. Yes. And for those of you who have those preconceived notions about over 50, you need to listen to this conversation because it's not a one-size-fits-all for us. No. If you had that idea, you are wrong. Yes. What happened to my earring? I don't know. Oh, well. We'll see. So I am just so excited. Listen, over 50, I don't know what it is. I think I just got to this stage and things just changed for me. One thing I do want to ask, and Michelle, since you're on right now, I'm going to put you on the spot. Did you always feel that you could talk about your age, or was it something that you had to kind of grow into? So if you can respond, I'd appreciate it. And if you're listening to the replay, can you just make a comment? Was it hard for you? Have you always been really just like okay with your age, or has it been like, a transition into accepting your age, or you've always been like, I got this? You grew into it. Okay, see, some people grow into it. And some people, like me, I've always talked about my age. Now, I have had some friends who I'm talking about from 6, 7 years, no, take that back. Maybe from teenage years, they didn't want to talk about their age. It was just like, nope. And this is me. I'll shout my age from the rooftops. So I think personalities are different. Some people are like, yay, okay, let's see. I think she's here. Let's see, yay. All right, she's coming on. Let's do this. I know. Yay!
Hi!
How are you? Okay, first things first, because I like to pronounce people's names correctly. Mine is Kwabi. Tell me how to pronounce your name, because I want to pronounce it correctly.
It's Sun Young.
Sun Young.
Sun Young. Perfect. It's nice to see you here.
Yeah. And you know what? Let me tell the viewers. So I met Sun Young at it was an online conference, and they competition. She was one of the speakers, and they didn't know it was a competition. So they were playing music, and at the end they wanted us to vote for the best dancer. She was like, she was having a great time, and that's part of being comfortable with your age, where you can just like chill and just relax and not feel like you have to act a certain way. Because, over 50 comes in all shades. All right, so I want you to tell the listeners a little bit about yourself before we keep going. All right.
Sure. Okay. So, first of all, I just turned 60 on May 18th. So tell me I don't look like 60 at all, right? And
Great.
my energy level, I could keep up with my daughters who is in her 30s when we go hiking. And so it's all about self-care. But
yes,
I grew up as an orphan for first 14 years of my life. My mother passed away by giving birth, and my dad decided not to take care of me and my sister as a single dad. So he just left. He didn't even tell us where he was going. He just kind of abandoned us. So my sister and I, we became automatic orphans. So we lived in an orphanage. And then she promised me that she would never leave me. And so we had this promise, like pinky promise, and said, I'll never leave you. We'll never leave each other. We're just going to stick together.
Who was older?
Yeah, no, this was like when I was about 2 or 3 years old. And so then a few years later, she took me, she says, I'm going to take you to another orphanage. And I said, why? She said, because you don't know how to walk, and I can't teach you how to walk. I don't have money or a place to take you to pay for you to, learn to walk. But I know there's a rehab center, it's a handicap rehab center that I'm gonna take you there, and maybe I'll stay with you so that you can learn to walk. And I said, I agreed to it. We
Yeah.
went there, and she lied, and she left me there, and
Oh,
she said she had to go to the bathroom, and that's the last time I saw her. And that was about I was about 4 or 5 years old.
and you never saw her again.
Never seen her again. So I grew up as this orphan girl, hated people,
Oh,
hated the world, didn't
right,
trust anybody. So
right.
I had a really rough life. But hey, as older I get, the wiser I get, with the knowledge and the skills, here I am as
Yeah.
a CEO, confident, and I have learned all the things that I have to learn to survive. So I was adopted by an American family at age 14. So
Okay.
my teenage life was not normal teenagers.
Yeah.
Um, I spent all my life to study, 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 because I feel like when someone is giving you an opportunity to have a better life, I took it and ran with it.
Wow.
And so here I am with us, being disciplined, having the motivation,
Yeah.
and wanting to, have a different life,
Correct.
have a better future. When opportunity is given, I'm not going to throw it away. I'm going to take it and nurture it. And then
Yeah.
here I am at age 60. And, but between the time that I was adopted at age 14 until now, I've been through a lot of abusive relationships too, as well. Domestic violence, sexual, mental, and physical abuse. And just because I didn't have any boundaries, I was just busy learning English, let alone learning about the life, about, having confidence and having the boundaries and having like
For
just
learning.
the life,
Yeah.
about life. I didn't know any of that. That was like extra things that I had to learn. But I had to learn the basic knowledge of how to say hi to you and say, how are you? I'm hungry, I'm tired. Just being able to have a basic necessity communicate so that I could survive, brand new, country, right? And I used to never look in the mirror. First 14 years of my life, I never looked in the mirror because I was born with a hair lip.
Oh,
Okay. And so I was what you call a special needs child. I couldn't walk. I was born with a hair lip. So when I was adopted by an American family, they did all kinds of surgery on me. So I spent like a year or two at the hospitals, 6 months at a time on both my legs, cast, and then my
yeah.
lip was fixed and everything. But when I first came at age 14, when I landed from the airplane, I was like this. I was covering my mouth. I was like this. And then I looked in the mirror for the first time as a teenager coming to America. I was shocked because I knew that kids were making fun of me the way I looked in orphanage. I was bullied.
Oh, I was gonna say because how would you know?
Yeah.
Looking at
I just knew that I was ugly and I looked different than them because I was bullied and the kids were making fun of me. So never looked in the mirror. I thought I was the ugliest. Besides, that they called me a name, and so I thought I don't dare to smile because I thought it's gonna crack bigger. My lip was gonna get bigger, and because you don't know, nobody told me about that, and so I just always covered. Didn't want to smile. I don't want people to look at my lip and things like that. So I just went through a lot, and like all of us have gone through a lot of
yeah.
crap in our life, right? But our messiness is the message that we want to share with others to make a difference in their life, because I'm different. I'm no longer an orphan anymore. At age 60, I'm not an orphan. I
No.
am filled with the family and friends, and my life is peaceful. And because of my elevation of my mindset, that
That's
here
it.
I am. Here I am. But from age 21 to age 54, I was working for a corporate company.
Oh,
you
really?
know yeah, but broken system, because I was working full time, like 40 hours or more. I was struggling to pay bills. I was living paycheck to paycheck, and I've seen this with my doctors that I have worked for in the years, that they too was, they had so much in debt and everything. But it doesn't matter how much money you make. It's just how you do
Yes.
how you invest,
Yeah.
how you diversify your money is the key
Right.
to not running out of money. And so working for a corporate company for 33 years, I thought to myself, I didn't want to retire when they kicked me out because I was too old or too short to work, you know? And so I thought I'm going to retire when I'm still healthy. And he wasn't really that young, but you know,
Say this though. I want to say this though. I'm glad you said that because there are people that think 54 is old. So, but you didn't think so. You felt, you know what? I still have time. So that's
yeah.
a
Yeah, I didn't think because most of my patients that I was working, you know, taking care of daily basis, working for a doctor, was that, you know, I mean, they retired at age 65 and then they go back to work and work for a lower paying job. You know, these are the people that were CEO. They would climb their way up to their careers in their life and then they retired and then they were bored because they didn't have a plan.
yeah. So that's probably what it was. They were doing it out of boredom. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, out of boredom, or they didn't have enough money to go on vacations, so they have to work so that they could go on vacations after they retire. And so I thought, I'm not doing that. I'm
Yes.
going to retire, and I'm going to stay retired, and I'm going to make more money than I have ever had. And that's exactly where I am today. You know, living my dream life and working for me, for myself, becoming a CEO, and I could go on vacations a month at a time.
Right.
And so, you know, so the key is to make sure that you have a plan. And I still get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I
Oh,
ingrained this lifestyle. I ingrained this lifestyle getting up at 4 because when I was a teenager, because of my language barrier, I wanted to study. And so I would get up at 4 in the morning. It was studying way back in age 14 and just study, 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 just bookworm, you know. And when I graduated, I was able to, you know, graduate with the honors, missed by 1 point as a high honors, but I
wow.
was still proud of graduating with the honors and got a scholarship to college and everything. But you know what? It's called self-discipline, self-motivation. Nobody's going to tell you the results and say, hey, Young, if you do this, you're going to succeed. If you do that, then you're going to get a scholarship. If you do this, no, you don't know that.
Yeah.
But when opportunity is given, you got to take it and take it actions, take it seriously,
For sure.
and just be grateful. You got to be very grateful for everything that you have
Yeah.
because I didn't do all this by myself. You know, of course, I couldn't invest in myself because, you know, orphan,
Correct.
but a family invested in me, you
Yeah.
know. And so when I was able to invest in myself, then I could invest in other people.
In other people. Correct.
So it's a very important to have a self-care. Make
Oh,
sure
good.
that you take care of yourself. You're in a good place mentally and physically so
Yeah.
that you could help others.
Yes. There was something you would, I saw a picture of you on Instagram that I really loved, where you were on the swing with your kid. I'm sure you felt so free.
I did. This was like a Monday, Memorial Day, just a few days ago. You know, we had a picnic with
Mhm.
my grandson and my daughter, and then my teenage son brought over
Yeah.
his girlfriend, and we were having a contest. And I remember pushing my kids on a swing set. You know, so we were talking about it on that day, Monday. It's like my daughter and I said, hey, do you remember I used to push you guys as high as, you know, you guys wanted this? Yes. And I said, now it's your turn. So I told my teenage son, say, push me as high as you can. And then we were having a contest and he goes, I bet you I could go high as you can. I said, well, let's do it, you know? And so, you know, there's a little short video on my Instagram and say, I could go higher, you know? And my son was pushing me and we're having a contest. It was just like, you know, we need to just stop working so hard. We need to take the time and play hard. You know, you got to balance your life,
Oh,
right?
we do. And you know what? I love that you were doing that because for those that don't know, I have an online membership of women who are 50 and over. And one of the things we've been talking about recently is what do you love to do? What did you love to do as a child that you could recreate in your life right now?
Yeah.
And a lot of them, you know what they're going to do? They're going to go roller skating again. They want to start roller skating again. And I'm like, that is so much fun. And
Yeah.
the joy that you feel when you, it's
Hmm.
priceless. You can't put it in.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when I was in a second orphanage, no, first orphanage,
Mhm.
you know, there was a lot of babies were dropped off by the door
Yeah.
and, you know, staff would pick up the babies off the front door and they're like, oh, we got another baby, that being dropped off. And then I thought to myself, wow, this must be normal. The family spending their kids. So I thought that was a normal way of how people, that treated their kids.
Yeah.
Until I went to, and then there were some older kids in that first orphanage. There was a lot of newborn babies, but then there were kids that were like 7 or 8 or 9. They were not handicapped, because first orphanage that I lived in was, they're not a handicapped orphanage. It was just a regular orphanage.
Right.
And I remember sitting down, because that's the only way I know how to, just sitting and looking out the window, and how I wish that I could play hopscotch, how I could play jump roping with other kids. And so I was just mourning for those mamas, because I couldn't walk. And when I was taken to second orphanage by my sister so that they could teach me how to walk,
Correct.
was that I'm like, wow, I know how to walk. Now I could help other people. I could help push them wheelchairs and do errands for them. And that was like first mission. And actually they called me a little nurse. They gave me a white dress because I was like a little nurse for them, But that's the first thing I thought about, is like, you know what? I could walk. I could run the errands for them. It's not all about, I could learn to walk, so I'm going to do whatever I want and goodbye. It's not like that at all. It's all about, gaining something and being able to pay forward, to make a difference in people's life, is what it's all about. That's what God created for us to do.
Really, and that's what it is all about, really. On the 1st of June, I had a guest, Dr. Lulu, and she's a parent coach for the LGBTQ community.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about this, and she told me, that there are parents that are struggling with their children because their children come out and say they're gay, and we talked about the one thing that can make a difference is showing love.
Yes.
We do that,
Yeah, it's funny that you said that, because I have 3, I have like 3 girls and a son. And, we all give them the same rules, same diet. I feed them all same thing, right? But all the kids are different.
Yes.
And we need to accept as a parents, like, you know what, they have a different interest, even though they've been given the same rules to follow,
True.
Same boundaries and same type of food. I didn't feed one person this and then more vegetables on other person, more protein on other kid. It's like we all, ate same thing. But, they grow up and they have their own differences and their own preference and stuff. And we have, sometimes, we don't agree with them, but we have to accept them and love them.
The thing, and we have to be accepting of that, because our kids are not us.
Right.
They're not, they have their own interests and ideas, and we have to support them in that.
Exactly.
Because, the thing is, if you don't, like what Dr. Lulu was saying was that sometimes, like she was speaking with a parent. The parent had said, well, my child wasn't gay. It was when he went to college he became gay. And she told the mom, pay attention to what you're saying. You really think it was when he went to college? He probably didn't feel comfortable telling you while he was home. So, it took him to leave the house before he could come to you. And I think that's what we as parents have to do, as challenging as it is. And we talked about, for most of us over 50, it's not as easy for us to accept because we grew up in time. However, as parents, we have to do this.
We have to.
Have to be there for our children. We have.
Yeah. And, the challenge that I was feeling too, working for a corporate company, is like, we have to kind of adapt it to what's going on in the world. Nowadays, like, like social media, I've never been on social media. Like, what's that? My mother asked me when I was, like, this was actually like 12 years ago. My mother says, aren't you like on the Facebook? And I said, no. And I go, why don't you? So that we could contact you. And I was like, I don't want to. I like to talk to people face to face. Now, like, I'm forced to. Yes. I'm forced to, because especially with the pandemic, and so, we have to adapt it to what's going on with the world, and kind of, because if you're not, then you get lost, you know, and we have a hard time changing things from like what we're used to And like at work, when I was working for a corporate company, I wasn't getting any younger. I was getting older by the year. But then
Yes.
they're, making us to do all this multitask, and they want us to learn the computer systems. And we got down, and then they give us a new, software to learn. And I'm like, oh my
Wow.
gosh, I can't keep up with this. So a lot of us are, the people that are, ready to retire, 50 and older, we feel threatened
Yeah.
because if we're not able to, compete with the younger generations where they know everything, how to do everything, you know what I mean? Like, computers, and they're computer savvy, and they're social media savvy. And we are threatened. And some of my patients have told me this. They're like, I don't think I could get a job. I mean, like, I am, I could make this much money with my degree. But then, they're hiring the kids that are younger so that they could save the budget. And so they were threatened to not able to keep their jobs, because
Right.
that's not right either.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of obstacles that
Yeah.
we face and challenges as a 50 and older.
Yes. And one of the things I do when I coach my clients, one of the things I always tell them is you have to make a choice. So if you decide, for instance, like, oh my goodness, I'm not going to be able to get a job, I don't think they're going to hire me, you have to be careful with that thought because you're choosing to think that way. And
Right.
when you think, oh, I'm not going to get a job, you know what you're going to do? You're going to feel right into that. And believe me, you will not get a job because you're not even going to make the effort because you've already made that choice in your mind. And so when it comes to thoughts like that, you have to decide and you might decide, okay, that's a thought you want to keep. But I always tell my clients, how do you feel when you say that? Is that a thought that you want to keep? What is it? You have a choice to decide to think something different.
Exactly. And I agree with you what you said because, it's just like when I was telling my doctor, him and
Yes.
I are like 2 weeks apart, right?
Mhm.
And we worked together for 20 years, day in, day out. And I was having a conversation with him one day, and I said, I'm going to retire early. And he's like, when? I go, oh, within a couple of years. And it's like, really? And it's like, I'm not going to retire until I was like another 10, 20 years or something. I said, well, I want to retire early. And he asked me, he says, do you have $1 million? And I said, no, I have no $1 million. And if I wait till I could save up to retire when I have $1 million, I'll never retire. They're gonna have to kill me, I mean, I would never get there because I was struggling, living paycheck to paycheck. But
Yeah.
then my thought was like, you know what, that fear of not having enough money to retire. And I thought to myself, there's some people out there making $1 million. Why not me?
Thank
Why not me?
See, I love that.
Why not me?
And everyone that's listening, I want you to challenge yourself.
Yeah,
You believe whatever you want. You
exactly. Exactly. And I've seen this before, so as a certified medical assistant, worked for patients. And, basically what happens is whatever you put in your thoughts, that's how you become. So you look in the mirror and you tell yourself and say, oh, I'm ugly. Oh, I'm fat. Oh, I have too many spots on my face. All you do is like downgrading yourself. And there's enough people out there telling you that you don't need to do that yourself, but that's what we do, you
that's
know.
what you do.
And so that's how we've been ingrained to, we've been brought up that way, right? And some of us are noticeable, like me with my hair. Like, oh yeah, I don't want to look in the mirror for 14 years. Not
Right.
only I didn't have a mirror to look at, but I was just not want to look at it because how I was bullied. They were calling me names, and so what's the point? Like even look in the mirror, right? And so sometimes like we believe in what other people tell us when we get bullied about something. It's, oh, that's what we are, that's what I must be. There's evidence I was abandoned, right?
Yeah.
My own family, my own birth family abandoned me because I was this and that. And so we have to shift our mindset and say, you know what? And so when I was going through counseling, over the years, going through, overcoming the abusive relationships and things, and they said, Sun Young, nobody ever took care of you. I remember we never had any celebrations for Christmas or birthdays. I remember one year we got an apple by
Hmm.
our head for Christmas,
Hmm.
but other years we didn't get nothing.
Hmm.
I mean, I had to wash my underwear every night so I would have a clean underwear to wear next morning, and just a lot of things. And so now I feel like, you know what? Nobody thinks I'm a millionaire or billionaire, but I am, because you know why? I could buy an apple whenever I want. That qualifies me to be a billionaire,
Yeah.
because I
Oh,
could buy gum, pack of gum whenever I want. Because first time I wanted to taste the gum, my girlfriend and I, second orphanage, we went to street nearby orphanage,
yeah.
and we picked up the gum that has been stepped on by so many people, so many dirty shoes. We picked it up. We just took the dirt off and we chewed it because we wanted to taste the gum.
Oh,
We didn't know that we're ever going to get a chance. But the gum didn't have any flavor. How I know? Because I could taste. At the time, we were so proud that, hey, we're chewing gum here. We got ourselves a, chewing gum, or chewing, having a good time, right? As a teenager. And it didn't have any flavor, because of how I know? Because I was able to chew a new gum now. But at the time, I didn't know that. At the time, I thought, this feels good. This is how people are chewing gum.
that's
But
it.
we didn't have any flavor to it, but we didn't care. But I know the difference because I was able to buy new gum and
Right.
taste the brand new flavor versus the chewed on.
Sure.
But the thing is, it's like our mindset tells what we are, how we are. And for me to be able to work and pay for my own car, I'm a millionaire.
That's it.
Having a change of shoes, more than one pair of shoes that are matching, having a clothes that matching clothes that I could wear. For
Exactly.
me to have a more than one pair of socks to change into makes me, qualifies me in my mind, in my life. I don't care what other people think.
Yeah.
Makes me feel like I know I'm a millionaire.
Yeah. Michelle, you're right. Mindset is everything. I'm telling you.
Yes.
But I think sometimes we forget
Mm-hmm.
we are in control of that.
Yes.
I'm not gonna say stuff. Even listen, even our right? Like they did a survey in Queen's school in Canada, and
Mm-hmm.
and they found out that we have 8,000 thoughts a day. And you know how many are negative?
Probably. Yeah.
80. So this is your mind, right? Telling you all these thoughts.
Right.
And guess what? Most of them are not even true.
Exactly.
So we have a choice. We get to decide what we want to believe and what we don't want to believe. It's
Yeah.
up useful to you.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, you could literally, like I said, when patients come in and they're physically ill,
Mm-hmm.
because they're mentally, they're telling themselves, like, when you get a little pain somewhere, and then they focus on their pain, which
Yes.
makes it bigger,
Oh yeah.
and it just exaggerates, right? And I'm not saying that they're, hypochondriacs or anything like that. But me, like when I get sick, and it's like, oh well, you know what did the older people, old age is what they do. They just wait it out. It gets better. But I was married to a man that he was a very negative. And one day he always tell me every day, it's like, oh, I have a headache, I have a sore throat, I have a sinus problem, I got a backache, I got a stomach problem. I'm like, okay, that's all negative. What do you want me to do? So when he was really sick, I didn't know to take him to the doctor. I don't know what is real or not, because that's all he would talk about every day.
Yeah. So you didn't even know because you thought, okay, that's just normal.
Yeah, that's normal. And there's been evidence that actually when he blew his nose, that it was all green nostril, and I know that because I was a CMA for
Oh,
every
okay.
since that I've been married to him. And so, but I got so sick of it, and I told him one day when I was cooking dinner, and that's what he could do, is instead of helping me cook, he would say, oh, I'm sick. And I said, hey, can you go in the bathroom and look in yourself in the mirror and tell yourself how sick you are. Don't tell me. I'm done listening to you for 13 freaking years. I'm done. I'm done. Like when you tell me, I can't even give you a sympathy because you tell me every day how sick you are. It's like,
Right.
I don't know how I could take you seriously, whether to take you to the doctors or not, because you said every day. It's like part of your routine,
Right.
And so I tell people, elevating your mindset, have a positive mindset. And in fact, this is one of my secret is this. Every time I go in and out of my apps, like whether emails or my, Facebook or LinkedIn, whatever, if I have to get in and out of my, to go bypass the password, I always use my positive words.
Oh, that's
Can
what
you imagine? Oh yeah, I use a positive word for my passwords.
that's what.
Yeah, because even at work and then my banking accounts and everything that I do, it's all positive words. Just
So
that alone.
that's a great tip, people.
Yeah, that is a really great tip because, sometimes like we don't think about saying positive. Who's going to walk around and say, oh, I'm so pretty and I'm so energetic, we already know that, right? But,
Mhm.
you say, like beg, it's like, make me money. I'm a millionaire.
Yeah.
That's positive words, right? you know,
Yes.
and seriously. And so, but what I'm saying is like working for a corporate company, making $16, $17 an hour. I never had any money to even retire. But after I retired, because my mindset, I can make my $1 million, I reached my $1 million
It
in
listen.
2, 3 years.
It see it real seriously. All those that are listening, this is something I do with my clients all day. Your thoughts determine how you feel.
Yes.
Feel determines the actions you take, and your actions produce your results
Right.
all day.
It
I
does.
it because you can't think a certain way and
Mm-hmm.
act differently. It just and one thing I want to share with all of you listening, it has nothing to do with your circumstances. Nothing.
That's true.
It has to do with your thoughts. Your circumstances don't have to change for you to change the way you think.
I agree. I agree. I mean, seriously, because I used to think, actually a couple of years ago, I used to think, oh, I'm an orphan, I'm an orphan, I'm an orphan, I'm an orphan, and poor me, poor me, poor me, poor me. And the people that I worked in the doctor's offices, they didn't know me other than they just loved me as their nurse. And what I like about being who I am now as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, as a speaker is that I get to tell people my messy message. I'm proud of it. All
Yes.
those years that I carried it with a burden and embarrassed and, didn't want to talk about it. And it was too shameful to even talk about it. But now it's like, you know what? That's the circumstances. I didn't choose. It was somebody else's
You.
choices. But what we do with it,
Exactly.
what we do with it makes a difference because I can't control what you're going to say to me
You
or what
can't.
other people are going to say to me. It's just how we react to it, right? And how we take it and turn it into a positive way.
Yes.
And overall, you want to have a peaceful life as
Yes.
we get older. So, my friends will tell me, saying, Sun Young, you had a horrible life when you were young, but now you're living your dream life as you get older
That's
you
it.
know but I could have stayed at where I am because I have some of my friends that grew up in orphanage together. They're still in that same mindset.
And that's the thing. See,
It's sad.
we can be a prisoner to our
Yes,
mind if we
yes, yes,
seriously.
yes,
We are just caved in. We don't want to see anything different. We're just, it's like we're playing that same old story
yeah,
over and over again. But you
yeah,
have to change it if you want to.
yeah. Who could change it? Who could change it? Nobody's gonna come to me and say, Sun Young, I know you had a rough life. I feel sorry for you. This is a new pathway I want you to take. No, no, no.
You have,
Nobody does that. We
yeah,
have to do it. We
yeah.
have to change our stories. We have to change our mindset. We have no longer have to, do a exactly same one like everybody else. You
No,
think about it. You plant a garden and you use the same soil as what your neighbors use, same water, same techniques. You're gonna get same thing, but you want to get something better, bigger vegetables. Hey, do something different.
change it, change it. So I want to ask you a question though. So for you, have you always been comfortable with your age, or was it something you kind of grew into?
Um, I didn't really feel comfortable all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I really felt comfortable when I took a power mentally. When
Mm-hmm. How old were you then?
I think I was about 40.
Okay, all
When I
right.
was 40. Everybody's going through the midlife crisis at age
Right.
40.
Yeah.
But I thought to myself, I said, I'm not going to be like everybody else, like
See,
your
the thing,
traditional 40-year-old, like having a celebrating with the black balloons and everything. Cut that out. I want the bright balloons, not 40, black balloons,
Yeah.
And
You made a choice. And see, I did the same thing because I was hearing all these stories and I just wanted my story to be different. I didn't feel that I had to go through that because I really believe that sometimes we don't realize how much power we have within ourselves. We think, oh, well, everyone is doing that way, so you have to. You don't have to.
no, no,
You
you don't have to. You don't have to. That's the thing. When you do something out of your comfort zone, then, people are going to say, well, why are you doing that for?
right.
Instead of saying, good for you, but them like, what are you doing that for? Well, that's like a negative, right? But if
Yeah.
somebody says, oh, good for you, you're stepping out of your comfort zone, I want to be like you. So when you hear positive words, positive influence from other people by you
Yeah.
doing something different, then they'll do it more. But a lot of times, everyone, what are you doing that for? Like, are you crazy?
Our age, they're
Yeah,
like, why are you doing that? Why are you
yeah.
changing? Why you want? It's like it's almost as if you get to a certain age and they think life is over. I'm like, no,
No, no, no, no. The older we get, we need to embrace because we're more knowledgeable. We have a lot of experience.
thank you.
And guess what? Guess what? We earned it. We earned it. We earned it.
Yeah.
We got here, however we got here. And guess what? We want to kind of celebrate the ages that we go through with
Oh,
others that who doesn't see it that way,
that, what you said is so true. I talk about celebrating.
Yes,
Listen, I celebrate everything. Like in
I
my
did.
celebrate everything. I'm like, and the thing about celebration that for those listening that you might not be aware of is your brain loves celebrate. It's like a dopamine hit in the brain when you celebrate things.
Yeah. Well, think about it. Think about it. So I've been through different stages in my life where I feel like I was working for dermatologists, right? I worked for a urologist and I worked for, internal medicine doctor. I worked for all different specialties in pediatrics, over the years, 33 years, right? But a lot of times, like patients would come in, and let me just kind of talk about. I can't give names, but one couple of patients come in and they're like, oh, I'm bleeding, in their urine. And it's like, what's wrong? And so I don't know. So we take them to all these specialists and take them to get all this CT scan and MRIs and everything. Everything's normal, you
Yes.
know. And they wasted all this time because there's certainly everything's normal, but they're bleeding and they're showing the blood in their urine.
Right.
And it's a stress. It's a stress.
Oh yeah. Oh
A lot
yeah.
of times, stress will cause you a lot of illnesses.
Oh
It,
my. It
it
does.
does. And I think when I was like, well, I turned 60, so it was about 10 years ago. I remember when I was 50, like all of a sudden I could not stand up. And I'm like, what?
Oh wow.
And like I couldn't stand up, like I was like stiff, and I had a hard time sitting because I used to do my nails sitting on the floor because I grew up sitting on the floor being Oriental, being Korean,
Yeah.
right? And so I was very comfortable, but then I sat down on a chair, just a normal dining chair, and then I couldn't get up, and I thought, oh, is this what all about being 50? It's like muscle gets stiff and like you can't move. And I said, I go, that happens to me, like my patients. But what I did with it made a difference. And I swear I could not walk. And I said, my husband's like, what's wrong with you? Like, and I was like, I don't know. Maybe my muscles just got stiff or something, but I'm very active. I exercise all the time. But sometimes I think it just plays with your mind. So there's a little bit of, like a stiffness. And then people will say, oh, it must be my 50s, so I can't move now.
I
You
know.
know? No.
No.
And so I remember going to like a Walmart and getting like a knee brace and doing something. But I suffered with it for 2 weeks. But you know what? A lot of people and patients that I've seen, they don't have that mindset. And so they think, well, it hurts to move, so I'm going to stay, which makes it worse.
Listen, what you're saying is so true. 3 years ago, I woke up and I couldn't raise my arm. Like I couldn't do this. All I could do was this. I couldn't put clothes on because most clothes you have to kind of put it over your head. I couldn't do
Yes.
it. Went
Yes.
there and they said, oh, I had frozen shoulder. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I do. I was like, no, we have to find a way to overcome this. So they told me I need to go for physical therapy. I tried that. That didn't work. And then I found this other guy who had physical therapy, but a bit different. And I
Mhm.
was painful, but I was like, listen, my arm is a vital part of
Yeah.
well-being. I'm like, I can't, I mean, I couldn't even put my hand behind my back. I couldn't do anything. But I challenged myself. And
Mhm.
so listening, please do things to help you move. Like if you stay in a position without movement, your body is gonna get stiff. You're gonna get aches and pains. And listen, we know we're aging. We know that. But there are still some things you can do to overcome where you're just, you're not moving anymore.
Yeah.
And you might say that, but you don't have to buy into that. You don't have to buy it.
Exactly. And so, yeah, I was involved in a car accident, many years ago, and I had the, dislocated shoulder and everything, and I couldn't lift up, but my waist, I couldn't even do it this way, reaching to my bra lines,
Right.
but it
Exactly.
doesn't, yeah, but, and the doctor says, oh, you'll never, get back to your
Mhm.
normal. But
It's okay.
I push myself. Don't overdo it, but just a little bit, inch by inch. And so as we get older, ladies and gentlemen that are listening, it's a normal part of life that our muscles going to get stiff. Think about it. Even when you're 20 years old, if you don't move that muscle, it's going to stiff. It's going to go stiff and it's going to get locked down. So you have to move, but especially as we get older, it's more vital that we move and don't overdo it. And so like my goal is to, like, with you having a, frozen shoulder, well, you could only lift like this much, right? So next day you're going to, reach half an inch more
Yeah.
higher. Next day, another half an inch. Everything comes in baby step at a time.
Yeah.
So like right now, it's like I could do like, 50, you know, push-ups easily. Did I do that all at once? Did I do that all at once? No.
Nope.
It took me 5 at a time or 1 at a time. And I worked up to it. I could do 200, sit-ups, and 200 hip lifts. Do I do that all at once? No. It took
Right.
me, 5 at a time. Next day, and you have to set goals.
Yeah. It's a
You have
great.
to enjoy life, you guys. You have to enjoy life. And this is what I really, really talk about is this. My mission is this, like I'm helping people make money, but then build your health and build your wealth, because you can make all the money you want, but if your health isn't good, guess what? All the money that you have made, you're going to spend it on the assisted livings, emergency rooms and doctor's offices,
Listen.
hospitals.
Yes.
You want to use that money that you work so hard from
Especially in this.
from the college, you got out of the college to you retired, the money that you have worked so hard for, you want to spend it on the vacations, dream life, not freaking hospitals. So
Yeah.
do everything you can to kind of live healthy life.
Yeah. And I always tell people, don't compare yourself with others. Just
No,
do, because we're all at a different stage.
yes,
And that's why I named this, 30 Shades of Over 50. We're all so different.
yes,
Our cultures,
yes,
skin color, socioeconomic. I mean, we're all so different.
everything different. Yes,
Common thread, we're all experiencing this age. We're on the other side, right? So
right, right.
but there are so many things that we can do to enhance our lives at this point. It's not the time to say, okay, life is over, it's done.
No,
No.
no. I've seen too many patients that are depressed and they feel like, because they couldn't move. And so they're not being encouraged because they don't have the mindset to, like, because I have a patient told me, I mean, this is like, 70, 80-year-old woman and says, Sonia, I can't even comb my hair, and I can't even and I said, why? I don't know, because it hurts. Well, that means it's telling you need to move that muscle, because when it hurts, so then people will stop moving, which makes it worse.
Yeah, I'm with you, because I know for me, when I had that issue with my arm, it was a while. It took me like 16 months to get it.
Wow.
It
Wow.
was, it was not easy. I mean, I love to exercise. I couldn't do push-ups. I couldn't do planks. I couldn't do any of those things anymore.
Yeah,
But
see?
determined, I was like, no, no,
But
no.
can you imagine that you didn't take that road that you took and
Oh,
then just going to buy into what everybody else tells you in your
correct.
mind tells you, well, it hurts, don't move it.
Oh goodness, it'll be worse now. I
Yeah,
probably would to move in right now.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about, is that exactly.
Hmm.
Because you have to say, no, no.
Nope.
Because sometimes we get tested by different things, it's like you have a pains out of nowhere. Don't focus on it.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you're dying, then there's emergency room. But other than that, you know what? Work it out. Wait. Don't be so hurried to go to the doctor and spend all this money on medical bills and then found out there's nothing's wrong with you. You just need to move it. It hurts, move.
And keep on moving.
Yes.
Even if
Keep
it's,
on moving.
I'm like, it doesn't matter if it's just 10 minutes. I always tell my clients, I'm like, start with 10 minutes a day.
Yeah.
But what is, be consistent. I'm not saying 10 minutes once a week. 10 minutes at least 3 to 5 times a week. And before you know it, gradually you'll increase it. Before you know it, it's like 30 minutes. Before you know it, it's like you're going for a walk for an hour, 5 days
Yeah.
a week, easily.
Yeah. You guys listen. So this is what my family just always laugh at me because, I always say this, and I always tell my clients, my patients this. We are awake with the eyes wide open like this, right? Wide open.
Yes.
This is 15 hours a day. You think about it. Someone like me, I get up at 4, and
Yes.
4 in the afternoon, that's 12 hours. Okay,
Yes.
hello. And then I don't go to bed until 10. So how many hours is that? 4 to 10, that's another what? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like 5, 6 hours, right? So we're awake, people, for
Yeah.
a good 12 to 15 hours a day or more. Don't tell me you cannot set aside
Yes.
15 to 20 minutes a day to
Can.
take care of you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can. You can.
Mentally and physically. No, that's not a lot. But we all have excuses. So in fact, there's a book that I wrote. It's
Yes.
called Invest in Yourself.
Nice.
In my Instagram, the picture of it, Invest in Yourself. And it's all about, you have to have your mindset, and it's all about throw away all your excuses. I'm guilty of it. It's like, I'm going to go back to school and my kids grow up and leave the house. I'm going to invest when I have so much money.
Yeah, we do that.
I'm going to wait till I retire. Well, come on. Well, that time came and gone. You need to start taking actions now.
Start taking action. And you don't even have to have whatever it is that you think you'll have. It will come. But you need
Yes.
to take action first. You need
Right.
to, I tell people, you have to believe in the possibility
Yes.
before it happens. Think about it. Babies, if they didn't believe that they could walk, they'll still be crawling. They didn't know they could walk,
That's
but
right.
we need to stop believing in things that haven't happened for ourselves and just believe and start taking action.
Yes.
Are going to happen. If you're waiting for things to happen first,
Well, I want your listeners to think about this and kind of take it in, is this. There's a people out there that are making $1 million. There's people out there that are living their dream life.
right?
Why not you?
Yeah.
Why not me? The only difference between them and us is like they got head started.
Yeah.
They got way head start. So like I tell myself, I was happy, very satisfied and working for doctor, my passionate job helping people. But then I thought to myself, I could only help people just in a scope of my doctor's practice, only like so many thousands of people. But I want to reach globally. And so here I am. That means I cannot no longer work there, even though it was my passion.
Yes.
But then I thought, with that kind of pay, I was making $17 an hour. That wasn't bringing me my dream life.
Yes.
And so I removed that. And I
Yes.
hired. Now I'm making I was able to create over $1 million. I'm helping people to make their retirement money from like 100,000 to $700,000 in 4 to 5 months. I
Nice.
mean, it's like,
And this is the thing. You get to decide what is important to you. You
yes.
might it's like, I just want to have a life where I'm just healthy. You might decide I want to build wealth. You might decide, you want to really invest in your relationships. But remember, you get to decide. No one else
And you could have that. You could have that. You got to start thinking that way.
Yeah.
and then you got to kind of go to, and so basically what you need to do is really just weed out the people that are negative, even if it's your close family members, because they think that you're weird anyway. Like my kids, like I taught them, like, get a good grades, and they're like, Mom, you're not a social media person. Now you got so many followers on a Facebook. It scares me. It's like, are you sure? And it's like, hey, listen, you know, and I have to, like, they're trying because, but we have to adapt it to what's going on. But then listen, you could do and become whoever, whatever. It's you creating your
Yes.
journey. You're
Yes.
creating your mindset, and
Yes.
you have to be around the positive people. Like, we're here,
Yes.
you know.
And I know, when you hit 50 and over, there are going to be people telling you so many other things. Listen, I'm on TikTok. TikTok is supposed to be for young people, right? I have,
Supposedly.
in fact, my kids, I remember my teenager telling me, Mom, no, 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 no. That's our app. I'm like, really? There. I have 30,000 followers there. And guess what? Most of them are women like me.
Good
I'm
job.
you. There are so many women over 50 out there. And so I know that, sometimes you want to kind of go with the flow, but if you really want something, go ahead and do it.
Yeah,
People feel odd, they might think, but you know what? People are going to think anyway.
I
So,
know. Well, the thing is you cannot please people. So think about it. When you cook, you know, trying to please them. So you have a guest over,
yeah,
okay? And you got, like, you got three different couples, and then you and your husband. So those, like, what, six, 2, 4, 6, 8. There's 8 people,
yeah.
right? You're trying to cook a meal, trying to satisfy 8 different taste buds. You
But
know what? That food's gonna turn out like crappy. It's going to turn out like a shitty, excuse my language, because you're trying to satisfy everybody's taste bud. Some people like extra salt. Some people like no
but
salt at all. Some people like extra butter. Some people like, so you're like, how are you going to make them? How are you
nope,
going to make that food to be
never.
tasteful? No, what you do is make it how it's satisfy your taste buds.
That's right.
But then, you know, use the salt in moderations,
Yeah,
and they could always add, but you don't want to not add any, because then it's a blend. And so how you taste to satisfy your taste bud, and then say, oh, if you want an extra salt, there it is. You want a pepper, there it is.
okay.
You want hot sauce, there it is. But
That's
you cannot take things out trying to, and so you think about it in that way. It's like trying to satisfy everybody's life, like, so
not
they could tell you, so, oh, Sun Young, you're so good, I love you, and everything you do is right. No, because I'm living in their satisfaction. I'm living in their expectations. I'm living my life in their boundaries. I'm living my life with their assertiveness. I don't have my own. And so you have to come up with your own. Otherwise, you're going
always.
to find somebody else's plan.
That's true. And you know what
Don't
happens
do that.
that over time? Resentment.
Oh, yeah. You're going
And,
to hate it. You're going to hate life. So there's a book that I wrote, my husband and I, we wrote together. It's called Opposite Opposites also. And we are so opposite. My husband hates talking, and I love to talk. That's because first 14 years of my life, I didn't talk. I never smiled. So
you'll
I'm
make
making it up, you know? So I want to tell you this experience. It's in my book. One day we had a meeting. This was like before COVID. So like 2.5 years ago.
yeah.
We were in a business meeting, and it was like, we usually eat about 12:30, and it was like 1 o'clock, and I was hungry, and we said, well, let's go to the, lunch, go to this Asian place, Thai restaurant. I said, okay. So my mouth was already set to eat that, lunch and everything. And I was getting kind of hangry, angry and hungry, kind of hangry food.
Yeah.
And I was starting to get a headaches, right?
Yeah.
And he was driving there to the restaurant. We've been there before once. Okay, so this will be our second time.
Yeah.
And it's like a couple months later. And I was on the phone talking to somebody, and I was busy. And I noticed a peripheral vision. My husband was like driving around in circles in a parking lot. I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm gonna go home. And I'm like, what? I go, so I hung up the phone, and I said, I gotta go. Hung up the phone, and I said, you're going home? What do you mean? I said, I'm waiting for that Asian food that we talked about. We had a long meeting, business meeting, you know. And then he's like, I can't find it. I go, what do you mean you can't find it? We've been there before. Aren't you using that Google? And he goes, yes. But there was a construction. And so he blocked the roadblock, right? But so I said to him, I said, you mean you can call? I said, why couldn't you call the restaurant? I go, I hate talking to people. And I go, you got to be kidding me. I go, so you're going to take me home. And I say, if you take me home, I'm not going to eat lunch with you. I'm mad. Number one, I was prepared to eat that Asian food.
Exactly.
Number two, I have a headache now because you've been driving around in circles trying to find that restaurant. And you didn't want to talk to anybody. And so you did not call. And so I had to call the restaurant. I mean, I called the restaurant and I said, you know what? How do you get there? And they're like, where are you? And so we described it. And it's like, look up. You could see our sign. We're like 50 feet away. There's a big sign. And I said,
that is what
yeah. And I said, because of the construction, road was blocked. And so they told us how to get there. But I told my husband, I said, why didn't you tell me? Like, I've been with you for 12 years and you just telling me that you don't want to talk to people. I would have never married you. I said, I would have never married somebody who doesn't want to talk, because communication is so important part of our relationship.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Before we go,
yes,
I don't want it to cut us off because Instagram will cut you off. We're almost 3 minutes away.
Okay.
Thank everyone for listening to you. This was beautiful. I so enjoyed this, and I'm sure the listeners are enjoying it. And join us tomorrow for day 4. I'll have another guest, but thank you so much for coming. And I'm going to upload it so everyone can listen again if you want to listen. Missed out.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thanks for joining us. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.